Okay, hello, welcome to Digital Rockhound's podcast. I'm Gary Kendall, and in this first episode, I'm going to give a quick overview of my software, Digital Rockhound's Companion. Okay, Digital Rockhound's Companion. It is a Windows software that is written in C# using the Windows Presentation Foundation, using SQLite as a back end for all you developer geeks out there. It is a single window application with menuing on the left, and the center portion of the screen here shown is the where the view pages will load. So the focus of this application is twofold. It is first and foremost used to manage personal collections of rocks, minerals, and fossils. It also is a reference guide to mineral locations in North America. The application includes two large databases from the U.S. government that has over 300,000 mine locations for North America, for primarily the United States and some for Canada, and there are some additional locations from around the world. So that's really the focal points of the software is collection management and mining information. So let me just continue with, so what's included with the software is, we'll go to the database menu here, is these four reference databases. There's a mining reference database, which I mentioned, that's 300,000 mine locations and patent claim locations, mining claim locations. Again, primarily for the United States, but does include Canada, Australia, Europe, and South America. It also includes a mineralogy database of over 5,000 mineral species. Also includes an additional locations database, and this is one I've been building up on a personal level. It's for collecting locations for rocks, fossils, and minerals that aren't specifically a mine, and then a visual guide, a fossil database that's a visual guide to invertebrate fossils that would help you identify a fossil to its family, perhaps its genus, but it's not meant to be a specific species level fossil identification tool. Also included in the database, in the application here, are four databases which the user yourself would populate. They are not pre-populated for you, and these databases are for fossil, mineral, and rock collections, as well as a storage location for the rock, fossil, and mineral specimens. Because what I found is, when you have a large mineral collection, it's hard to track where specimens are. So I created a way of being able to. I created a way to be able to create storage locations for specimens, because I have 5 or 6 different glass display cases, as well as half a dozen to a dozen filing cabinet locations that I use to store specimens. So that helps that. And in addition to those two things, there is a map builder that's included with the application, and this uses map online. It includes an integration with online mapping with OpenStreetMap and a site called MacroStrat, which provides geologic data, as well as there's a number of, going back to this for a second, there's a number of digital mapping files that are provided with Digital Rockhound's Companion. And really here, when I first started this project, I started it back in 1996, and that predates Google Maps. So some of this was to do computer workstation level mapping. This data is still here and it's still relevant. Online maps are very convenient and powerful. Again, there's this is just for reference. Additionally, there's a place name database, and this is for map place geomap location naming, primarily for the United States and Canada. So that's really what's included with the application. There's also built-in support for importing digital images from files on your workstation and from smartphones. The smartphone integration requires a specific app on your smartphone to work. Again, I can provide more. I'll provide more information on that in a separate podcast for time's sake. I don't have time to cover everything. In addition, there's also a storage manager, which you use to sort of an organizational tool to help you at an overview way of being able to manage specimens. So that's what this is made for. That's what I designed for. It is currently still being actively developed. I probably add code to this application. I add code to this application every month, and I'm working toward another release of the software very soon. The final integration, and it's something new that I've been doing, is I've got an integration that will allow me to interface with a digital camera mounted with a microscope, with the camera attached to the workstation with a USB cable. That integration, and I've got an automated platform to capture to focus stack images coming off a stereo microscope. But again, I'll have a completely separate video on that. But let's show you what I do want to focus on. I do want to focus on briefly on mineral collection management part of this, and then part of the mining information. So let's do the mineral collection one first. So again, on the left here, I'm going to click databases. I'm going to click mineral collection. There's a number of options here. I've got an integration with to open MinDat, and MinDat is a fantastic reference for mineral and mining locations. So here it is. So I've got a tight integration with that. So with mineral collection management, things you can do. You can add a new specimen. You can modify an existing specimen information that you have in a database. You can print labels. You can add specimens to custom lists for review later. So there's a bunch of things which I'll go into more depth in a separate one, but I want to just give you a quick overview. So what you can do is you can search for a specimen. You can list all of your specimens, and I'm just going to show you the list. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate a list of all the specimens in my collection, in newest to oldest. So right here. So there we go. So here I've got 3,558 mineral specimens cataloged. So I'm just going to pick one of these. I'm going to pick this vanadinite specimen. I'm going to click. So there's, again, when you go to use the application, if you move the mouse over the button icons, and I'm going to hold it and let it pause. There you go. It says view data. The tooltip will pop up and tell you what the button does. So this will view this data. So I've selected a row and I'll click view data. Now I'll tell you what, I'll select two rows and I'll show you what it does. It'll select both of those specimens. There we go. So you see that, one of two. So there is here's the vanadinite. So again, if we look at the specimen here, we've got a header of information. I've got an auto number that gets generated when you add a specimen. There's an ID which you can modify. Again, I use the auto IDs really just for sorting purposes. You can assign a mineral species, and once you do, it'll display the chemical formula of the species that you've selected. Now, and then you have you can assign a size and storage location. If I want to, so since I've associated vanadinite with the specimen, I can click this button here, and it will open the vanadinite entry in the mineralogy database, and I can see the physical and chemical characteristics of that mineral species. And again, what you'll notice is I use the same sort of layout in all of the data, in all my data presentations. I'll take the different categories of data, and you can see them listed here, and they're grouped together in these expander lists. Again, so they're easier to view, and you don't have to, you don't have a big giant list, giant unending list of a form that you have to scroll through. I try to keep it so most of the data will fit on one screen. That's never going to be perfect because everybody has different screen sizes, but that's what I attempt to do. So again, under mineralogy here, you have the physical details of the mineral, color, composition, crystal system. If you click here on mines, this will give you, it'll cross-reference vanadinite with the mining database to give you a list of locations that vanadinite occurs at. And you can see a list here, and we're just going to look at some interesting ones. Now, vanadinite's a very common mineral in Arizona, in copper porphyry deposits, and it's also in deposits out west, but one caught my eye here, which is Pennsylvania. So Chester County. Oh, and there's a mine, Chester County mine, that has vanadinite reported as an occurrence. So here, I can just click here. I can then go to open this mine, and so this is so here's a mine entry, and it's the Chester County mine near Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. And here are some alternative mine names, because often mining locations will have more than one mine name. Here's the list of mineral occurrences. Here's references, and if I see right here, there's a MNDAT reference. So if I highlight that row and click the default opening using default web browser, and right there is the Chester County mine entry on MNDAT for this location. So I've got it. So in this case, this is tied in. Now, going back to my application here, that online reference is something that you can add to the database. Is not necessarily something that I've already done, but it's something that you can do. Okay, so, but what you do have with this mine is you do have all of the mineral occurrence data that's been reported by the government databases of MASMILS and MRDS. And these are two databases that are or were maintained by the now defunct U.S. Bureau of Mines and now the the U.S. Geological Service. Okay. Along with that mining, the mineral data for the mine, you actually have the mapping coordinate data. So that's what we have right here. So if I click this button here, it'll open up the map builder, which I could have accessed from the front page here. Okay, so there we go. So there is, there is that mine, the Chester County mine. Now, if I go here, I can use the provided mapping files to help me out a little bit. So I can go here and say, let's add the border of the state of Pennsylvania. Let's add counties for Pennsylvania. Let's add PA, the townships. There we go. So now what I can do on my map Okay, so here's the legend. Here's the map, the legend for the map and the different map layers. Okay, I can go to the border, and if I use this button here, see it says zoom to extent. So I now have zoomed out, so the map is now zoomed into the state of Pennsylvania. Now I could come here and on counties, select name, and I could type in Chester and do a search. And Chester County is way down there. It's interesting. Okay. All right, so there's Chester County. Oh, right there, there's the mine. Okay, so now what I've done is I've done a search, and it's added the matching county to my map, so then I can click on zoom to extent. So I clicked on the selected county and zoom to its extent. So there it is. So, and again, what I can do here with the slider is change the translucency of the layer, so I can use it to highlight the county but then still see. And what we have in the background now is OpenStreetMap. And OpenStreetMap is an online map, so you'd have to have an internet connection for that. Okay, now I'll do one more cool thing here. I'll come here and go to Magstrat, and then I'm going to add it. And watch what the map. Okay, so now what you see is a colored geologic map. So I'm going to again adjust the transparency so I can see through the colors, so I can still see the names of the towns and see the roads. So there we go. So now if I come in here and manually zoom in by moving my mouse, the roller on my mouse. Okay, there we go. So there is that mine right there. So we have these colors. So if I hold down the control key, the left control, and do a mouse click, left mouse click, there we go. So what we have, okay, so what it did is it placed a map marker here. And on the right, you'll see a legend control that shows all of the objects in the map layer, in the map layers shown at the top that have been selected when I clicked right there. So when I clicked right there, it selected inside. It was inside the PA border. It was inside the counties. It selected 2 counties, and it selected some townships. Okay, so that's the objects it selected. Now on the left here is the data that's going to be shown from Magstrat. Microstrat. So what we have here is we have the legend for the colors that we're seeing on the map right here. So this salmon colored is metamorphic rock. Is this felsic and intermediate gneiss, which is a metamorphic rock, and it tells you its basic composition right here. So there you go. So we've selected a map. So we found I selected a specimen. I looked at the mine that it was associated with. We looked at vanadinite, and I selected a location that had vanadinite reported at, and then we opened it and went to there. Okay. So now what I can, so going back here, so let's look back at the VCR buttons at the top. So if I go to the first one, that'll take me to this initial page that we came in, which I can close by doing this. So I unloaded the initial page. Now if I want the initial page back, all I have to do is click on main, and it'll put it back. Now, because I've got images stored in here, anytime you click on main, it'll randomly display an image. Sort of an image of the day type of thing. Now, if I do want the splash screen, all I have to do is come up here and click on Welcome to DRC, and there you go. See? So if I go back to, okay, so here's my search. There's the 2 specimens that I had selected, right? This is, so right now, here are the here are the details, those 2 records that I said I wanted to open. And now if I tab here, this is where I went to vanadinite, and then looked at the tree. Then I browsed the tree of locations here and found a particular mine that I opened. Right, and that's how we got to where we are right now, which is here's the mine, there is the button that I clicked, there's the map. Okay, so what this illustrates is that one of the focus points of this application is building relationships and cross-referencing the data to one another. The mining database and the mineralogy database comes with those relationships already created. They're already interconnected. What you can do with the with the collection data is that you, on the detail level, you can assign the mine. Okay, and then that builds a relationship from a specimen to a mine. You also, when you assign the mineral species to a specimen, it also builds a relationship between the specimen and the the entry for that mineral in the mineralogy database. So if we go back to the mineralogy database just for a second, so here's the mines. Now if I click on specimens, here are all of the vanadinite specimens cross-referenced in my collection. And what we see here are the cover images for each one of those specimens if it already exists. Now, if your specimen, if you don't have an image or you don't have the cover image for a specimen defined, it'll just show it as blank. But you'll still have the entry. Okay. So there you go. So that's the power of this cross-referencing, and that's the strongest feature of this application, because with this cross-referencing, you can actually use Digital Rockhound's Companion to do research on mineral locations that you may want to go visit, that you may want to research because you have a specimen there. And I want to stress this right up front: the location information that's provided with Digital Rockhound's Companion is specifically just for reference. It does not grant you permission to visit any of the locations listed here. Okay. Having said that, anytime you visit a location, you'd always need to get permission. You need to follow state, federal, and local regulations concerning collecting, rock collecting, and preserving nature. So you want to make sure that you always follow those rules. You can, however, use this tool to find areas that you may want to go investigate. Many mineral locations exist on public land, and some of that land you can go collecting on. I used my application to help me find luperites. And if you know what a luperite is, it's a stone. It's an igneous rock. It's a type of granite. Actually, it's a syenite. It's a quartz deficient granite that you can find that has basically fluorescent sodalite in it, that will glow orange under long wave ultraviolet light. And so what I used my application for was to look around in southern Canada for locations, for deposits of the syenite that contained sodalite, because that is the source material for the rounded luperite pebbles and cobbles that people find in and around Lake Superior and the rest of the Great Lakes. So I was able to use my online geologic map along with these mapping files and the data that was in this application to help target areas that I thought might be interesting. And then what I did is I went and researched local areas after that. And again, I want to double stress that nothing in the location information provided by Digital Rockhound's Companion is informational purposes only. no inferred rights no inferred rights to visit, to be able to access locations listed in DRC. It's not granted. It's informational. You always have to have the property owner's permission. So enough on that. So getting back to this for a second, which I almost forget where I was at. Okay, there's that one. Oh, the map. Okay, so there we go. So let me start over with this. I'm going to just close that screen. Tell you what, I'm going to use this button and close everything. So let's just start over, and I'm just going to do a quick map here for you. Okay, so what I can do is we're going to go to OpenStreetMaps. So there it is. I'm going to add the geology of Ontario. Okay, now these geologic maps are quite big, so this is going to take a second. Let's talk about hardware requirements. You really need to have an i7 processor or better. You really should have as much RAM as possible. This machine here has 16 gigabytes of RAM on it, and you really do need as big of a monitor as you can get. I've got a 27-inch monitor. That'll make this application look as good as you can. So now if I go to the legend here, there's the geology of Ontario. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom to the extent. Okay. So now what I'm going to do here, there's a, near the paintbrush, I'm going to pick USGS, age. This will apply the color scheme that USGS maps use to the geology here listed here. Okay, let's see what, okay. So right there, okay, so, and what you can see is, so what I'm going to do is zoom in here. This may not have been the best example, and I apologize. Like I said, this map image this map file is quite big. Just give me a second. It seems like maybe record. Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. So there we go. It's just going to take another second. I think because I'm recording this as a video, this whole thing is running slower. The other thing that will really help out this whole the performance of my application is if you have a real graphics processor. If you have a modern, if you have a somewhat modern NVIDIA card, it would just, these graphics this would perform better. Oh, that's what I wanted. Okay, okay. So if let me change. I'm going to change the style to lithology. Okay. Give it a second. Now it's working on it. It's going to repaint it here in a second. Working. Again, I'll just stress that this is a very large data set. So. There we go. This is what I wanted. So what this is, so in the legend, we can see all kinds of rock names listed here. This guy right here, where it says alkaline cyanite and nepheline cyanite, these are the types of rocks that looperites belong to. So if I shrink that, if I come up here and just look, you can see, and okay, so now what I'll do, if so to see, to get information that's on the map, if I go Control left click again, it'll put the marker down. There we go. And did it? Yeah, it did. Why am I not seeing the marker? Oh, no, it's there. It's on the map. Here's what I'll do. You can turn off a map layer without removing it. Oh, it did. It selected that area. It just didn't put a marker down. So it's that area right there. And if I look here, this is the geology that's within that area that's been selected. So like I said, if I turn off the map layer, you can see the area that was selected. Turn it back on. Okay. And right here, okay, now I'm a geologist, so I'm looking at this and I know what type of rock I'm looking for, but it's this guy right here. So this is some of the source rock. This is a potential source rock for meteorites right there. So that's, again, I made a trip in 2019 to Canada, little town of Marathon, Ontario, which is about halfway from Sault Ste. Marie to Thunder Bay. Right in here, there's a wonderful beach there that has giant cobbles. And if you go there with a UV flashlight at night, you may be able to find a meteorite. And I was successful. I had not been there before. So again, I used all this research and then took a trip. So again, that's what you can use this for. Again, there's online resources to do this. Like I said, Mendat is an excellent one, but this just goes to illustrate the usefulness of this program. So let me just go back here for a second. So in conclusion, so the Digital Rockhounds Companion, it is software that I wrote to manage mineral collection data and then also to incorporate mining information that had come from the U.S. government. And I used that data to cross-reference with map data and what collection data is. So what it does is, what you can use this tool is, what in the end result is a mineral specimen that you enter into this application with that has mineral species information associated with it and a specific location. You can pull together this valuable information about the specimen, because rock, mineral, and fossil specimens are most valuable from a collector's point of view, an aesthetic point of view, a knowledge point of view, and even a financial point of view, is when you know the most about it, when you know specific information about where it's from and when it was collected. And what I do in this application will help you do it. So again, with this demo, I've answered the question of what is it, and I've partially answered how do you use it. And then the third question that I'll answer is who should buy this. So anybody who's interested in managing their own mineral collection, or want to start mineral collecting and want to have a tool that will help them manage it, this is the tool for you. It can also be used as a research tool. I've got, like I said, it's got an abundance of mining information for the United States and some of Canada and other parts of the world in it. And it's, again, let me show you one more thing and then we'll wind up this video. So if I go to minerals, I can do a periodic table search and say I want to know what minerals contain copper and sulfur. I'll do a search. There it is. Okay. And then what I could do is I could say, yeah, I'm interested in copper and sulfur, but I don't want minerals with silver in them. So if I select it and select it again to turn it yellow, it excludes it. And see right here, you can see this mineral species here is copper and silver. So if I do a search on it again, it disappears. Now, if I enable that, then then these are only the species that have copper, silver, and copper, silver, and sulfur in it. Now, if I do exact match, these are the mineral species that are only contain the elements silver, copper, and sulfur. So again, you can start from here. I can take this mineral species here, stromerite. I can open it and come here and go to mine locations. I can go to the United States. I can, Wyoming, look at there. Park County, Wyoming. Tip top claim. So if I click on this, looky there. There's a silver mine in Wyoming. Okay. So, and then I go to the map data. Oh, unfortunately, we don't have coordinates, so I can't display it on the map. That's unfortunate. So, the data here is what it is. So, Oahe County. Oh, here we go. I've been here. So let's go to the rising star. Let's see. I bet this will have mapping data. It does. Okay, so the rising star has this mineral stromerite. So it's a mineral. It's extremely rare. Okay. I click on longitude. Shows me the map. So I can zoom in. Right, there it is. Then again, what I can do is come back here and go microstrat. There it is. Look there. I can also, let's go Idaho. There's the border, there's mines, there's counties. I like counties. Alright, hide that. And if there's the county boundaries right there. Okay, cool. Okay, right there. There's the counties. So again, if I wanted to plan a road trip, again, you could go out and investigate. So again, doesn't give you permission to go to the site, but gives you information about the area. And again, if I'm looking at this map, I'm seeing Oahe National Wilderness. So that there is most of this is federal land out here. There's an Indian reservation, which of course you would need permission to visit. But again, these are the tools that this application does provide. So thank you for your time. What I'm going to do in subsequent videos is focus on specific features of Digital Rockhound's companion in more depth. So until then, thank you. Good night.